everyone, it's Miss Ashtiani here and I'm going to be doing our writing lesson today. Happy Monday to you all. The Year 1 teachers have been really impressed with all of your hard work that you've been doing at home. I'm going to share some of the wonderful writing work you've all been doing.
Well done, Elliot, in 1A for writing a super sentence, remembering to include a full stop at the end. Well done, Dylan, in 1A for challenging himself to include the conjunction and in his sentence. Well done, Tommy, in 1A for spelling the tricky word she correctly and including the air trigraph in the word hair. Well done, Odin, in 1A for writing some super sentences about the Queen, taking care with his presentation by keeping his letters on the line. Well done, Mason, in 1A for including all the steps to success for writing a super sentence. Well done, Emmett, in 1A for using his phonics to help him write different words about Little Red Riding Hood. Super work, Kaysen, in 1C, who's really taken care with his handwriting and tried to keep his letters on the line. Great work, Buddy, in 1C, who's extended his sentence by using the and conjunction. Great work, Poppy, in 1C, who's written a super sentence including all the steps to success when writing her sentence about Little Red Riding Hood. Super work, Matilda, in 1C, who's included a new and exciting word, chased, in her sentence. Super work, Sky, in 1C, who's included lots of describing words in her sentences about Little Red Riding Hood. Great work, Ivy, in 1D, who's used new and exciting words like delicious and beautiful. Well done, Chloe, in 1D, who has worked really hard with her presentation, keeping her letters on the line. Super work, Neve, in 1D, who's used all the steps to success for writing a super sentence. Super work, Olivia, in 1D, who's used the phase 4 tricky word little and spelt it correctly in her sentence. Well done, Chloe, in 1J, who's used the conjunction and in her sentence. Wonderful work, Ava, in 1J, who's even checked that she's written a super sentence.
Well done to all those children. If you didn't see your home learning, don't worry because I'm filming this on a Tuesday, so your work will be shown later on in the week. Before we begin today's writing lesson, I need you to make sure that you're sitting still, staying quiet, looking at the person who's talking, listening to all the words. If you are showing me those 4 good listening rules, then you are ready to do some super learning.
Our learning objective for today's writing lesson is to become very familiar with key stories, fairy stories and traditional tales, retelling them and considering their particular characteristics. What's the big picture? Well, Little Red Riding Hood wants us to learn her story. Let's read the story and then we can share it with other children in our school.
Let's have a look at our key vocabulary for today's writing lesson. We've got once upon a time, early one morning, luckily, and suddenly. If you didn't practice the actions with me the first time, do them with me now. Once upon a time, early one morning, luckily, suddenly. My turn. I'm going to have a go at retelling the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Make sure you're showing me the 4 good listening rules. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood who lived in a forest. Early one morning, she went to see her grandma. She had a basket full of food. First, she went into the forest. Next, she went down the path. After that, she went up the hill. Finally, she got to Grandma's house. Knock, knock, knock. She went into the house and went upstairs. Grandma did not look right. She had big eyes. She had big ears. She had big teeth. It was not Grandma. It was the wolf. Suddenly, the wolf jumped out of bed and ran after Little Red Riding Hood. Luckily, a woodcutter ran in and shouted at the wolf. The wolf ran off into the forest. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma lived happily ever after. Super listening, everybody. Now I'm going to retell part of the story, and you are then going to work with me as an our turn to tell that part of the story together. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood who lived in a forest. Our turn now, you're going to join in with me retelling the first part of the story using our storytelling actions. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood who lived in a forest. My turn. Early one morning, she went to see her grandma. She had a basket full of food. Our turn, we're going to retell that part of the story together using our storytelling actions. Early one morning, she went to see her grandma. She had a basket full of food. My turn. First, she went into the forest. Join in with me, our turn. First, she went into the forest. My turn. Next, she went down the path. Our turn. Next, she went down the path. My turn. After that, she went up the hill. Our turn. After that, she went up the hill. My turn. Finally, she got to Grandma's house. Our turn. Finally, she got to Grandma's house. My turn. Knock, knock, knock. She went into the house and went upstairs. Our turn. Knock, knock, knock. She went into the house and went upstairs. My turn. Grandma did not look right. She had big eyes. She had big ears. She had big teeth. It was not Grandma. It was the wolf. Our turn. Grandma did not look right. She had big eyes. She had big ears. She had big teeth. It was not Grandma. It was the wolf. My turn. Suddenly, the wolf jumped out of bed and ran after Little Red Riding Hood. My turn. Luckily, a woodcutter ran in and shouted at the wolf. Our turn. Luckily, a woodcutter ran in and shouted at the wolf. My turn. The wolf ran off into the forest. Our turn. The wolf ran off into the forest. My turn. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma lived happily ever after. Our turn. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma lived happily ever after.
Your turn. I would now like you to practice retelling the story on your own using the storytelling actions.